Hello and welcome to episode 4 of LUFC Fanzone podcast. I'm Sam Isles,
And I'm Jack Ellis.
and today's episode we'll be hosting a podcast slightly different to usual. On our previous episodes, our guests have been chosen by you, our followers and listeners, where you have had the chance to choose who we are joined by voting on our LUFC Fanzone Instagram poll. However, today's episode is slightly different.
Once a month, we have decided to record a mystery episode where we pick our own guest. The person who we are joined with on these episodes is someone who we think may not win a poll, however someone we feel will have an interesting story to tell about Leeds United.
We're delighted to announce that this week's episode is sponsored by Harrogate CBD Company.
Harrogate CBD Company are a local business run by Leeds United fans and they're on a mission to help people sleep better and relax during lockdown. They source the finest CBD products so you don't need to look any further when looking for anxiety relief or a helping hand when struggling to sleep.
Research has shown that CBD can help refresh your mindset and increase your focus to reduce anxiety, and their oils contain pure hemp, organic ingredients, and less than 0.2% THC content. If you want to find out more about their products, visit them on www.hgcbd.co.uk or on Instagram at Harrogate_CBD and add the discount code LUFC to receive 5% off all their sprays and oils.
But back to this week's episode. And previously, we have been joined by former Leeds United players and managers, and we have had the chance to ask them about their time at the club. However, today, we are with a player who never represented Leeds United, and in fact, has never played football in England.
In June 2018, it was strongly rumoured that Leeds United were looking to bring a Nigerian striker from the Italian second division to the club, and Italian media reporting that the deal was all but confirmed. However, after months of speculation in the Italian press about the €4 million transfer from Carpi to Leeds, the arrival of Marcelo Bielsa seemingly ruled out the deal, which resulted in the former Carpi striker cancelling his contract at the Italian club, and he was without a club for almost 6 months.
Because of these dramatic turn of events, we wanted to find out how close he was to making the switch to Leeds, and what occurred both before and after the speculated transfer broke down.
Today we have current Ozjek and former Carpi striker, Jerry Mbakogu. Thanks for joining us, Jerry.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
It would be great if we could talk to you about your proposed move to Leeds a couple of years ago, but would it be possible to talk about your playing career before we move on to that?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Italy. I moved to Italy when I was a kid. So I started playing in Italy. My youth academy was all in Italy. Started in Padova. Then I moved to Palermo, and then I've played for most of my senior career. I played in Carpi. I played for 1.5 years there, and while I was in Carpi, I had this, how will I say, proposal or this opportunity to move to Leeds. And yeah, so I would say I've played all my career in Italy, and I just had this new experience now in Croatia. Yeah.
So just to start with, obviously you never played for Leeds or any other club in England, so most Leeds fans have never seen you play. So because of that, how would you describe yourself as a player to those who have never seen you play before?
Well, I'll say I'm a fast striker. I love attacking the space. So this is my style of football, and I'm very fast and I'm good one-on-one. But my style of football is attacking the space and trying to score goal as fast as possible.
In 2015, when you scored 15 goals in 30 matches to help Carpi gain promotion from Serie B, your agent stated that your performances reminded him of Didier Drogba. Would you liken your playing style to Drogba?
Didier has been childhood idol. He's still my idol. So, and when people say I look like him, like I really love that comparison. But I would say he's a great striker, and I think what we have in common is just more of the physical aspect and not much of the style of play. But he's been my idol since I was a kid. I always emulated him. I wanted to do what he was doing on the pitch, and so yeah, like since I've been growing up, a lot of people since I was a kid, people have been saying you look like Didier, you look like Drogba, you look like Didier. And so this has been some kind of motivation for me to keep moving up and like try to be like 5% of what he did. It would be nice. So yeah.
And although you were born on the same continent as Drogba, but in Nigeria rather than Ivory Coast, your first
Yeah.
professional club was Padova in Italy. How did you
Yeah.
make the switch from Nigeria, where you were born, to Italy to gain yourself your first professional contract?
So we moved to Italy because my dad was already living in Italy and he was working in Italy. So we moved over with my mom and my brothers to Italy to join my dad. And so that was where I started playing football. And I've always loved playing football. It's been a passion for me. So I started and I was really doing good. And teams were coming, watching. And so I moved to Padova and I played 3 years, I think, yeah, 3 years of youth academy there. Then I moved to Palermo for 1 year and I continued my youth academy. And then from there I moved to playing. I moved to it was Serie C. I think that's the third division that's League One in England.
Yeah.
So I started my career there, and then from there I played Serie B, Serie B, Serie B, and then in Serie A with Carpi.
And then, like you said, Carpi was the side where Leeds were rumoured to buy you from, and arguably where you had your most successful time as a player. How did you
Yeah,
find your time there at Carpi?
it was very nice. Like we had amazing time. I had an amazing time. We had really great seasons there. So the first year I moved there, the team just got promoted from the third division to Serie B. So the first year was just kind of like, trying to, we had, how you say, we managed to stay in the league the first year, like easy. And the second year we won the league easy as well. And it was amazing. We were playing very, very great football. I was enjoying my time. I was scoring goals, assists, everything. So it was amazing.
In your first loan spell at Carpi, you helped the side reach their highest ever finish, 14th in Serie B, which resulted in the side
Yeah.
making a move permanent. And like you said, the following
Yeah.
season you helped Carpi gain promotion to the Italian top flight
Yeah.
Serie A after finishing top of Serie
Yeah.
B. That season
Yeah.
you were named in the Serie B team of the season as well, after scoring 15 goals in 30 appearances. Do you think that was your
Yeah.
most successful season so far in your career?
Yeah, I would say so, yes. Yeah, it's been the best season I played, yeah.
And after that promotion winning season, your agent was urging Napoli to buy you. Was there any serious contact between Carpi and Napoli about your transfer?
Seriously, I don't know. It was just everything I was reading on the papers, like discussing with my friends. As a striker, I think when you play a great season, everyone is speaking about you. And that year, I really played a great season. As you said, I was in the team of the season. I was the striker of the season. So like everyone was interested, but nothing really happened that season. And I still don't know why. So it's part of the mysteries of football. Sometimes you don't understand.
That following season was your first ever season in Serie A, the Italian top flight. How did you
Yeah,
find the step up from Serie B to Serie A?
it was difficult. It was very tough because we didn't change. Our team didn't change a lot. Most of the guys from Serie B, we all stayed in Serie A, and it was difficult. Quality was immense, and we struggled. But at the end of the season, we just got relegated for 1 point. So being a new team, a very young team, we did amazing. And the points we made that season, like the previous year, we would have stayed in Serie A with the points we made. So it was just difficult season. We tried, we won. I think we had 37 points and we got relegated because Palermo had 38 points. But it was really tough. So yeah, but it was a great experience playing against great players, playing in the best stadiums in Italy, playing amongst the best strikers, the best defenders. It was really nice, amazing, yeah.
And that season was in the 2015-16 season, but it was during the 2017-18 season when Carpi were back in Serie B, when you
Yeah.
started to get linked to Leeds, wasn't it? When was the first time that you were aware of Leeds' interest?
I think it was December of 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, December 2017. I mean, everyone knows, like my friends, my family, my agent. Like I was always, I want to go to the UK. I want to play in England. I want to play in England. So he was like, okay. So he started working, and when there was a time I got a call, he was like, I think find a solution. Leeds want you. Like the director loves you. He knows you. He's been following you since you were a kid, and he would like to bring you to Leeds. So that was the first time. That was the first time. Yeah, beginning of December 2017, I guess. Yeah.
When your agent first told you about Leeds wanting to sign you, how did you feel? Because, like you said, many overseas players see it as a dream to play English football.
I was overwhelmed. I remember, like, it was amazing. It was like seeing this dream come true. So when he told me, I was, wow, let's go immediately. I wanted to go immediately. So we started. I also met the sports director, Victor Orta. So he came to Carpi with my agent. We met, we spoke. He told me everything about the team, and it was really amazing. So in my mind and in my head, I thought I was going to move to Leeds, but the president didn't want me to leave in January because he still wanted, like, Carpi was fighting to go to playoff, to try and go back to Serie A, so he wasn't willing to let me go in January. So it was like, if you're going to leave, then it has to be in June. So we all decided to wait till June then, so then I can move to Leeds. And then during, I think it was February, March, I started having a problem with my knee, and then I couldn't train anymore. And I had pressure because my agent was like, okay, if you're going to go to Leeds, you still have to play, because if you stop playing, then, things might change. And at the beginning, I tried to, like, force it, try to play, try to show I was feeling good, but everything was getting worse. Then I got to a point I couldn't train anymore. So I was like, I have to stop and treat myself. Like, I was my body comes first, my health comes first. And if at the end of the season Leeds changes their mind because of me not playing or not finishing the season, that means it was not meant to be. So
Yeah.
that was when things. Well, I think what really happened was, I think in summer they signed Bielsa, and he took control of everything. This was what my agent told me. So he was in charge of the players and everything. So he made different decisions. He wanted different type of striker, different style of striker. So, and they were like, he could still come here, but when he come here, he has to start with the under 21, train with the under 21, and then so I was like, at a point of my career, I couldn't go to somewhere and start playing with under 21. So I told my agent, there's no need of me like going there, and so this was why, like, I think things didn't really happen at the end of the day, but it is what it is. I would have really loved coming there, and I've always supported Leeds. I watched them play. I watched the playoffs last season. I've been following them whenever I can, because there's a part of me that feels like, I don't know how to say it, because I was so into Leeds when I knew it was going to happen. It became, in my mind, it was already my team. So I've been following them ever since, and I'm happy they're really playing great this season.
Just to rewind a little bit, at the
Yeah,
time, you were represented by an agency called Football Capital, which was previously
yeah.
owned by Leeds' chairman, Andrea Radrizzani. Do you think that had any influence on Leeds' interest at you?
No, I don't think so. Because if it was that, I would have ended up playing in Leeds. So I think there was no big influence, because, you know, if it was so, I would have at least signed for Leeds, and then see whatever, like, what happens if. Well, I didn't sign there, so I think there's no big. Now I can say there was no big influence being he represented, like, football capital or something like that. No.
In a transfer, how much influence can a player have about their move, or is the majority of it up to their agent?
Well, nowadays, I think the most important thing is being aware of like the options you have, because until your agent tells you you have an option, you don't know what's going on. And I think then when you know you have an offer and the team really wants you, I think it's all up to the player, and the player decides what he wants to do, if he wants to go or if he doesn't want to go. So I think the most important thing is having offers, and when you have the offers, I think the final decision and the final say is the players.
And at the time when you first heard about Leeds' interest, what did you know about the club?
Yeah. Yeah, I've known about Leeds like since I was a kid. I've been playing. I played PlayStation with Leeds when they had the great strikers, Viduka, and also there was this striker I was playing against in Italy. He also moved to Leeds, Dukara.
Sakara, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so when he was there, I watched some games. I've always been interested in Premier League and the UK, so I've always followed, I've always watched, and I also watched the historic match you played against Manchester some years ago, FA.
FA Cup, yeah.
So yeah, the
Yeah.
one you played in Old Trafford. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've known about. Leeds is a great and historic team, so it's not like you're talking about a big and historical team. So yeah, I knew quite well about Leeds when I heard about Leeds, I was like, amazing, I'm going immediately. I just want to go there.
And then, like you said, when Leeds were interested in purchasing you in January, was
Yeah.
the intention for Leeds to actually buy you in January and Carpi didn't want you to go? Or was Leeds' interest always for the end of the season rather than you immediately arriving at the club?
No, the director would have wanted me to move immediately in January, and I think if it would have been possible, then yeah, maybe it would have happened. But yeah, the initial interest was for me to move immediately. So, but the president of my team was like, I'm not ready to let him go now in January because we need him. And we all decided, like, for how things were going, and we all thought June would have been like, it was just 5 months away. So we said, okay, let's wait till June. And then everything changed. Changed coach, they got new coach. I had problems, so uh, that was what happened.
And then on June the 31st, which was the last day of the January transfer window for that year, it was
Yeah.
reported that the Italian media, Leeds had agreed everything with Carpi to bring you at the end of the season. Is that what you thought as well, that as they didn't sign you in January, you would definitely be arriving at Leeds at the end of the season?
Yeah, that was what I thought. That was what I thought. I was telling my friends, everyone, I was gonna play Leeds in the summer. So yeah, that was what I knew. That was what my agent told me. That was how we remained. It was gonna happen during the summer. So I was like, okay. Told him I started having. I think it was end of February, beginning of March. I was having a problem, so I had like pressure from my agent. It was like, you have to play because you know you have to go to Leeds, and so you cannot just stop playing now. And in the beginning, I tried forcing played 2 games. I was feeling pain. Then I got to a point. I told him I have to, like, really figure out what's the problem I'm having, not be focused, because I couldn't. I wanted to go to Leeds, but at the same time, I was feeling I was like not taking care of my health because I had pain and I couldn't continue just because of the situation that I was in. So yeah, this was what happened.
Like Sam just said, Leeds agreed the option with Carpi to bring you to England at the end of the season. Can you have any
Yeah.
idea of what the agreement consisted of? Or was it just a verbal agreement between Leeds and Carpi?
What I know was I was supposed to sign a 5 years contract. Then the price between the teams, I didn't know. I didn't know anything. But what I knew, my agent told me like he agreed on a 5 year contract, and the transfer money, I don't know this.
How much of an improvement were Leeds' terms compared to your contract at Carpi? Like, would it have been a big improvement?
Yes, yeah, it would have been.
But then, like you said, less than a month after that agreement in January, you injured your knee. Can you
Yeah,
remember how you did it and how it happened?
it was during a game. I remember I jumped, and the defender pushed me, and I lost my balance. And when I fell directly on my knee. And so the next game or during the week, I felt like something was wrong. But you have this, how you say, you have this big goal. You want to go to Leeds, so you're like, no, I want to play because I know at the end of the season I have to like keep playing. So I went on for 1 week, and I was like, it was getting worse, and it was getting worse. So yeah, it happened during a game. This problem I had on my knee was during a game, I remember.
Because of your injury, you had to visit a
Yeah,
specialist doctor in Barcelona. At the time,
yeah,
did you feel that your injury would have impacted your move to Leeds?
yeah. I thought I wasn't feeling fine, so I said to my agent, this was what I was thinking. So I was like, if we already know at the end of the season I'm going to Leeds, why don't I just like figure out what's the problem and try to treat this injury so by the end of the season at least I've solved the problem and I'm back ready for whatever was going to happen. So yeah, it was kind of playing my mind because I knew I wasn't feeling fine, and you don't want to move to a new team and not being in good shape. So my primary goal was to, fix this problem. So with my agent, we found this specialist, Dr. Cugat in Barcelona. So I went there, tried to figure it out, but I didn't solve the problem because I was there 6 weeks, and when I came back, I was still having the same problem, and I had to go see another specialist in Italy, and so it went on for a while. And I think I wouldn't have been fit even if I had drive that summer. So I think it was meant to be this way because I kept having the same problem. And so even if I arrived in summer, I would have been focusing more on my health than being able to train and show and prove. When you go to a new team, you want to immediately start showing, like start proving your worth, the investment the team made in you. So at that time, I was moving there and there, trying to figure out what the problem is with my knee. So today, if you ask me, I would say it was meant to be. It was meant to go that way. Like it wasn't my time to go to Leeds or to move to UK.
You said despite your injury, the Carpi president at the time was still adamant that your move to Leeds would be going ahead and thinking it was a formality, even though you might not be fit for when you were due to arrive. Did
Yeah,
you feel the same way?
yeah, I felt the same way. I think everything just changed when Bielsa arrived. That was when everything changed because he took over. From what he told me, he took over everything. He was the one in charge of picking the players he needed, the ones he thought were right for his style of football because he has a completely different style of football from many other coaches. So, and I wasn't like, from what my agent told me, he was like, for his style of football, because being I'm a striker who's always attacking the space, he wants a striker who's coming and playing with the team, and this was what he told me. So I think everything changed when Bielsa arrived. And being the teams wanted me, they were like, okay, Jerry, there are two things you can do. The coach wants another striker, so even when you go on camp, he doesn't want to like see you. You can start with the under 21, train with them, and I was like, no, this is not an option for me because I was a point of my career. I played in Serie A. I was like, no, it's better for me to look for some other option. And, you know, so this was why everything. And I think at the time, the president of Carpi was also mad at me because, he it would have been a good deal for him selling me to Leeds.
Did you ever feel like the president at Carpi wanted the sale? Because obviously for him and his side, it would have been a huge amount of money for his side and a huge boost for Carpi.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, of course. It was a period of my career I was really playing good. That season also I was playing good, and I scored 6 goals till, the last season we sold almost the historic players we had in when we won the league and the ones who played in Serie A. So I was one of the last ones who remained, and we were still playing good. I was scoring, we were winning, we younger team. So it would have been a good serve for him. But like I thought the right thing for me to do was not, sign with Leeds at the moment if I knew I was gonna be in the under 21. So I told my agent there was no need of me doing like there was no need of me going in. It really hurt me to get because I already, 5 months in your mind, or how you say in your mind, or you think, okay, I'm gonna go there. It's something you've always dreamt of. You've always wanted to play there, and you had this great opportunity. And then arriving at the summer and like, no. So it was really tough, but nah, it was something I had to do, and we decided to we decided to call it off, and so that was what happened.
It was just 4 months between your knee injury and the start of the summer transfer window. Did you feel that you were able to return to full fitness in that time period?
I think if I had stopped and did everything I had to do at the right time, yes. If when I started feeling the pain, I stopped and do like treat and look for the solution to what was causing my problem because I kept on I had 2 3 weeks I was just going on pain, going on pills, not to feel pain, to be able to play games. And I think it was at that point I everything got worse. So then when I went to Barcelona, he was like, there's no big problem. But then I came back, I was still feeling pain. So I think if I had done everything I was supposed to do immediately, just stop and, you know, had treatment. Yeah, I, I, in my mind, in my head, I thought I was gonna be fit for when the next season started in July.
Around that time, you made the decision to change your citizenship from Nigeria, which was your place of birth, to Italian, where, like I said, you lived from a very young age. And you received an
Yeah,
Italian citizenship in April, just 2 months before you were
yeah,
scheduled to make the transfer to Leeds. Was that because you wanted
yeah.
to receive a European passport?
Yeah, because in UK, if you have to move to UK, you have to those what was the conditions of moving to UK? You had to if you don't have an European passport or something like that, then you have to have played your national team. I think 75% of the games or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was why I requested from my Italian passport because I knew I would need it to go to be able to sign and play in the UK. So to make everything easier, I requested for my passport.
And like you said, despite changing your citizenship to attempt to make the move easier, for the first time in June, in the media, it became unclear that Leeds were going to trigger that clause. And the Carpi president announced that Leeds had until the 30th of June to trigger the purchase agreement after they failed to meet the original deadline. At that time, did you receive any contact from Leeds as to what they were going to do?
No, I think I already knew what was going to happen because my agent already told me what was the situation once Leeds signed Bielsa. So I already knew what was the situation, and we took some time to see if I was willing to accept the condition at that moment, and the condition was me going to play under 21. So like I said, now I know the president of Carpi was a big sell for him, so he would have loved me to move to Leeds either way, and then maybe when I go to Leeds find another solution.
Mm.
But I was not willing to go to knowing the condition. Like if I was going to move to Leeds, okay, train with the first team, and then if the coach doesn't play you, it's something different. But if you're going to move to a team, like knowing what you've done during your career and knowing you're going to move there and start immediately with the under 21, this is what my agent told me. So I didn't have any direct contact with the director. So this is all information I had from my agent at the time. So yeah, I now I can understand what was like the president of Carpi, like what he was trying to do. He was trying to football is business now, so it was money for him, and he wanted the sale to happen. So he was pushing for it to happen for me to go there, and I didn't think it was the right solution for me.
Yeah. It was also reported that Leeds attempted to change the transfer fee and the package that they were offering to you. Was that true?
Sincerely, I don't know. My agent we never discussed about this because everything just changed when they signed Bielsa because we sat down, we spoke. He was like, he's seen, like, he watched all your games, he's seen everything, he knows you as a player, but he needs different strikers. So that was when everything changed, and we didn't even talk more about like there was nothing more we could discuss when, you know, as you said, the player is the one who decides. I decide my future. I knew there I could decide. There was two things I could do, or accept to go and be with the under 21, or, make some other decision. And I thought the best thing for me to do was another decision.
And then after Leeds failed to meet that 30th of June deadline that was apparently set by the CAP president, the move was effectively over. So how did that make you feel that you wouldn't be making the switch for Leeds?
I already knew I wouldn't. I already knew before the deadline. I already knew I wasn't going there. So the deadline was. I think when after I spoke with my agent, I was like, okay, let's look for another solution because I already knew this before the deadline. So I think maybe the president of Carpi didn't know. They didn't go to him and tell him Bielsa has changed his plans. So I think he didn't know this side of the story. Maybe, I guess. But I already knew this. So the deadline, I wasn't waiting on the deadline anymore. I already knew it was something that was not going to happen, at least for that period. That transfer was not going to happen then. Maybe sometime else in the future, but not at that moment. So I decided to move on. It's football, it's part of life. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you think Leeds handled the deal? Would you have expected them to act differently than the way they did?
no, I think they did. Like I met the director. He's an amazing guy. So there's nothing I have to. I can't say anything. I'm absolutely, honored. Great team like Leeds really wanted to purchase me, and they really wanted me. Everything just changed with the coach because, in UK the coach is the, how you say, the manager decides. So Bielsa has this power, and he chose the best thing for him, and he's doing amazing. The first season he was almost winning the league, and this season he's winning the league. So at the end of the day, he made the right choices, and so, there's nothing I have to say about how the situation was handled. I think the sports director did everything he could to bring me to Leeds, and he didn't have the final say anymore, I guess. So the Bielsa, being the one who had the final say, made some other decisions. If he had seen my style of football and my style of football was what he needed, I think, like, I would have been there, I guess. So no, absolutely. I would say I'm honored. Like, sometimes I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, like I had the opportunity to go there, so it makes me happy. And no, you never know. I would love to play in UK. I think I would love to measure myself and see if I'm really that good to play in a league this important and this big. So it's still my goal, and I hope one day it can happen, and we'll see in the future.
Like you said, you met with Victor Orta in Italy, but
Mm.
did you ever make the trip to Leeds to visit the stadium or meet any of the
No,
staff?
no, because everything I thought everything was going to happen in June, so there was no need, doing it earlier because I was playing. We had games going with my team, so and I didn't have any chance of going earlier. So no, I didn't go. I didn't visit Leeds yet. I didn't see the stadium, nothing yet.
And like you said, the move was effectively ruled out by Marcelo Bielsa. But
Yeah.
what did you know about him as a coach, and would you have liked to play under his management?
Mm, I've heard he's really crazy as a coach. Uh, so I don't know. I know he has a lot of demands and he pushes his players to the limit. And I don't know. I think, of course, when you play with coaches like him, you improve absolutely. So I think playing with him was going to be a great thing for my career. But like what we know, they call him a loco. So
Yeah.
he's crazy. Everyone knows this. But I never spoke with him. I didn't have anything to do. Like I I never met him. I just know like this is the way he is as a coach. So it's something you can how you say you can understand because it's part of his personality. He's the one who decides and he decides what he thinks is the best for his team. So no hard feelings at all. Of course, it was tough accepting it because you go 4 months thinking it's gonna happen and then it doesn't happen. So, but it's part of football.
Although your move to Leeds never happened, less than 2 months after your scheduled move from Carpi, your contract with the Serie B side was cancelled. Do you have any idea why
Yeah,
that was?
I, yeah, that was my decision. So being the whole lead situation with the president, I think he wanted the move to happen, and he kind of blamed me for not making the move happen or things like that. And I've played there for a long time. I've been there for 5 years. The teammates I had in the past, they all left. So I was like, at this point, if we don't find anyone like who's willing to, let's just, I cancel my contract and I move. I was kind of still hurt from the lead situation, so I wasn't making clear decision at the moment. And my agent I had he was like, okay, no problem, we can do it. So I'm gonna find you a solution as soon as possible. You don't have to worry. So I trusted him with it. I was like, okay, there's no problem. Let's cancel it. But the problem was, if this is something, if I could go back, I wouldn't do this anymore. I think this was a very bad decision because then when I had this knee problem, I needed to make a surgery to like clean my knee and figure out what was the problem and fix it definitely. So I knew I was gonna be out for at least 30 days, 30 to 60 days. So I was not supposed to cancel my contract knowing I was going to undergo a surgery. And so, football, when you have surgery, everybody thinks, you've had something serious and you cannot be back playing at your level. But the decision to cancel the contract was mine because I thought it was the right time to move forward after everything that's happened because the president wanted to sell, he didn't sell, then he told my agent like the problem, like we didn't go to Leeds just because me and my agent decided not to go and blamed the transfer on us. So I was like, okay, at this point, let's move forward, and yeah.
Yeah. How hard was it for yourself to go from such a high profile move to Leeds to without a club within such a short space of time?
It was just I had other clubs in Italy, but I already made up because my agent was like, I think I waited more and more because my agent told me he could still move me to UK. He had some teams he was speaking with, so he could move me there. So I was like, okay, I want to wait. And so I was waiting, and by the time I was ready, it was in October, and I had some Italian teams in Serie B. They all wanted me, but I I just decided to let everything go to January and see what was the right solution for me. So I didn't want. I had a lot of offers at that period, even different offers from overseas, different countries, but like I wasn't. I was just what I was seeing was just UK. I had when I had surgery, I was just watching championships. I was like, yeah, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. So I was just focused on that, and so I wasn't seeing any other option. And so in January, I had other options, but I decided to go back to my childhood club because they really needed a hand, and they were in the relegation zone. So I was like, okay, I just want to go back home and play for these 6 months and be close to my family, close to my friends. So that was the decision I made in January. But this is football. The most important thing is you never give up, because I've seen different players. You go from one period, and once you give up mentally, then you're done. The important thing is you never give up mentally. Sometimes it's hard because okay, it's been a tough after that period. It's been like I've been going from one injury to another injury. I've never been able to get back like 100% on my level of what I know I can do. But I know I cannot give up. So every year I'm still fighting to go back. I know what I'm worth, and I know I can still prove my worth. I just need one good season to play really good football and show everything. And then with this football, one day you're here and the other day you're here. The most important thing is what's going on in your mind. If your mind is strong and and you believe in your qualities, sooner or later everything gets back to how it's supposed to be.
Do you think that if Leeds wouldn't have appointed Marcelo Bielsa and kept their current head coach at the time, Paul Heckingbottom, that you would be
Yeah.
playing for Leeds today rather than in Croatia?
I guess so. Surely I would have moved to England. I don't know where I would be playing today, but surely that season, that summer, I would have moved to England, 100%.
And that ends this week's episode. Thank you so much for your time, Jerry, and thank you for being so honest to us.
You're welcome. I really enjoyed it. So it's made me being part of Leeds for a moment. No problem.
We'll be back next week with our next guest, but who will you choose? Stay tuned for the upcoming vote on our LUFC Fanzone Instagram story later this week. Thanks for listening.